Welcome back to Illiterate Book Club, and this is part one of our preparing for
Yeah.
Stranger Things season 3 to come out.
Yeah, kind of like an anticipation and kind of a refresher on my part because I haven't really watched them, I guess, in a while. I like really binge watched this season, but I don't
Yeah.
think I ever really went back and watched many of them again.
So this one we're
yeah.
going to be talking about season 1 just to give our thoughts on it because this channel didn't exist when season 1 came out. So
Right.
We can kind of talk about it a
Yeah.
little bit.
It'll be here when season 3 comes out.
Yeah, so we'll do our reactions to that when it's actually
Yeah.
out in full.
Yeah.
But for now, season 1. So season 1 was the phenomenon, really. I mean,
Right.
It's
what
what
took
got
off.
everybody
Really into
aware.
Netflix in a way. I mean, it was a big tentpole. I know House of Cards was at first,
right.
and that's kind of what started. But I feel like Stranger Things, as far as Netflix originals go, it was like one of the tentpole.
It
and
definitely.
still
I
is a
think it
tentpole.
definitely was. Stranger Things has been the one that brought in a larger audience because you
Right.
had House of Cards, you also had Black Mirror,
I think Narcos was still out
Narcos,
first.
and you had some of these that
Yeah.
were more adult
Yeah.
focused and had. But this one really
Kind of was a broad audience.
broad audience. It touches on those highlights, '80s movies. Stephen
Yeah,
King,
a lot of nostalgia.
and it brings in families too because it is.
Yeah.
Even though it has dark moments, it is more or less family friendly.
Yeah, and I think it came out right around the same time or the same year that it chapter 1 came out.
Well, I think that was the second season. I think they were a year before
Okay.
chapter 1.
Maybe they were, yeah, because
It was somewhere around because they'd filmed
because that was
season
2 years
1
ago.
already.
Yeah. So I think it was released.
Right, because
Right
we've missed a
around the same
year
area.
with Stranger Things. They delayed it
Yeah,
to come out with this third season. So anyway, season 1, just to kind of, most of you probably know, and
yeah,
just to recap. So we had our 4 friends
yeah,
who we opened up playing D&D with,
Mhm.
and they did a great thing of like leading into some of the story elements that
Yeah.
were going to be suspense and all that. And one of the friends goes missing.
yeah. It's big spoilers all the way. Obviously, if you
Obviously,
haven't seen it,
if you haven't seen it by now,
then
that's on you.
yeah, then don't
obviously.
watch this YouTube, but like and
Go
subscribe.
Go
comment
watch
below.
the show and then come back and watch our conversation.
Right.
So anyway, then we had all of those great things, those X-File-y kind of moments of this monster that's roaming around, this lab that's really secretive,
Mm-hmm.
but it's all framed within the context of a missing boy
Right.
and this town trying to find him. The mother
Yeah.
and the sheriff. And so it does this great thing of having 2 parts of the story. One of basically those who believe
Yeah.
Will, who's the kid who goes missing, is still
Right.
alive and out there somewhere,
Yeah.
and those who don't.
Right. It's a very, it's cool because I feel like, especially the first season, when it's kind of a lot of things are a little bit more mysterious. I think that's one thing it had really going for it over the second season. I thought the second season was great, and we're going to go into that in a different video. But one thing about the first season was just the whole sense of what is going on here, or what is actually happening. And I thought it was great because, I think the production on it was definitely top notch already from the start. But I think they probably did it on a budget too, because just the way that they paced it,
Right.
it made it not as CGI and special effects needed.
Right. And they did, and you look at the behind the scenes, they did do more practical effects. They
Right,
made an
that's what
effort
I-
to do practical
That's
effects.
what I loved about it too, because it kind of harkened back to the time period too, because it made it feel like a more authentic 80s.
Right.
Because using practical effects, it kind of reminds you of like an ET and things of that nature, where they kind of
sure.
they have like that storytelling.
The era of Jim Henson effects. where
Right.
You had puppetry.
Right.
and
I
this
guess that's
really
probably
great-
a lean on me type
Sure.
feel. So going into the characters, one thing that I really, I guess, appreciated, and I might be mixing my seasons, and you can kind of tell me if I am, but the guy who plays the boyfriend of the main character, or the older woman, you know what I'm talking about, the older like teenage.
Oh, right,
yeah.
right.
You kind of feel what I loved about like the I guess you see him as like what you think is going to be a stereotypical like bully jock, you know what I
He
mean?
definitely starts off as like the stereotype of an '80s jerk.
Right. And what I loved about it, it kind of like is a lot like Game of Thrones, where as the season progresses and maybe into the next season, you really start to feel for that character. He becomes one of my favorite characters in the actual
right.
show.
So yeah, second season he definitely develops. He kind of has that great moment at the end of season 1 where he redeems himself.
Right, it was kind of like the start of the new I guess.
Right. Well, he comes back when they like have to fight the Demogorgon.
Right.
And his girlfriend, who is not at the time sure, like she's kind of left him because of the things that happened.
Yeah.
And with this other guy fighting a monster, and he has no idea, and all of a sudden he gets surprised with this ridiculous, crazy thing that's happening.
Yeah, like it's everybody sounded crazy because it was a crazy scenario.
But he jumps right in there and becomes a hero at the end. That was
really good. But obviously, the biggest characters and the kind of not to bury the lead are obviously the relationships between the group of young kids. I think all of those actors do an extremely amazing job.
Oh yeah.
As a lot of times child actors can be a little bit cheesy or something can kind of come off not appropriate.
That's age and inexperience.
Right.
But they're directed really well.
Right.
And they
feel natural.
Yeah, and you can tell that they get along. They have a rapport with each other.
Definitely chemistry for sure.
And there's a great thing about that. So that's the acting and the story just mesh really well. The effects.
Yeah,
all do really well, and the world building is really interesting. Like that, like I said, that's what set season 1 apart. Was you're getting to know the characters.
Yeah,
you're also getting to know the world.
Right,
and so you have this character 11 who has mind powers.
Yeah.
And then she's from a lab that's been trying to train these, and that's they lead into season 2 with showing that there's others out there.
Right.
Though that's something we can talk about for the next season. But for all we know in this one, she's the one that has these gifts and these abilities. And then you find out through the season that she's actually connected to this creature that's roaming around
and
taking
this
people.
Place, I guess.
In this whole place. And she opened up this world.
Right. I don't know if that's first or second.
That's the first season.
Okay.
Like they show that in the first season of how she opened it up, and she ends up having to have the showdown with the creature. Yeah. And she disappears at the end, so you don't know what happens to her.
You don't know what happens to her. Yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, so overall, I loved Stranger Things season 1. I will go into what we thought about the second one on the next video. Right. But it was...
Season 1's like very rewatchable too.
Yeah, it is. And I think I saw multiple episodes like back then because I talked my parents into watching it, so I watched it some with them.
And that's one of those that's great because you watch it and then you get somebody else to watch it, and then a third person. And you just keep rewatching with people because it has that rewatchable for many reasons. Like I said, the nostalgia of it. Even the soundtrack. I mean, the soundtrack for this show is just superb.
Oh yeah, I love the intro.
Both the songs that were created for the show and all the old school songs they pull up. To play, from the past. They do a great job of the music speaking to the story and to the characters, the effects. I mean, even if this show were to go downhill, which we're hoping it's not. I have high expectations. I especially took the time to make the season 3 as good as it should be. Season 1 will always stand out as being just top notch. Yeah. As far as storytelling and TV.
Yeah, absolutely. I completely concur with everything you basically just said. So is there anything else you can think to talk about, or we're kind of going on and rambling on, I guess.
No, that's it. I mean that's glowing, our thoughts. Yeah. I mean that's why we're doing this, to set up for the third season, because this is a show that from the beginning I've really enjoyed. Right. And season 2 we'll talk about in a next video, and
I hope this was a good refresher course for anybody, because like me, I hadn't seen it in a long time.
Yeah, maybe brought up some of the things that you liked. If you had something else that you liked, or maybe something you didn't really like about it, let us know in the comments.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.